Добрий день, шановні колеги. Центр українсько-європейського наукового співробітництва вітаю вас на лекції, яке проводиться в рамках науково-педагогічного стажування, які відбуваються на базі Куявського університету у Влоцлавеку, Республіка Польща, і тривають з 4 березня по 14 квітня 2024 року. Організатором є, ще раз підкреслю, Куявський університет у Влоцлавеку. Наші дружні партнери Центру українсько-європейського співробітництва, з якими співпрацюємо вже більше ніж 6 років. Співпраця різноманітна, тривала, і в умовах війни проводимо подібні дистанційні стажування. Щиро дякую, шановні колеги, за те, що виявили інтерес до стажування, за те, що зараз у понеділок маєте час прийняти участь очно та послухати лекцію. Дуже цінуємо вас і хочемо зазначити, що обов'язково виконуємо всі зобов'язання, передбачені в умовах, і вчасно надішлемо сертифікати про стажування, збірники ТЕС, які передбачені відповідно до умов подання для участі у стажуванні. Не забираючи довго часу у вас, хочу передати слово від Центру українсько-європейського співробітництва безпосередньо вже Куявському університету, зокрема очільнику міжнародного відділу, досвідченому в Польщі експерту в галузі освіти та електронного навчання для дорослих, пані Джоанні Скиби. Вона буде сьогодні вами спілкуватись на досить цікаву для всіх, незважаючи від спеціальності та закладу вищої освіти, тему «Лідерство в освіті». Joanna, please speak.
Good afternoon on the 25th of March, and I'm happy to welcome you to this short lecture or presentation devoted to leadership in education, which is a really vast notion to discuss, and it has many aspects that I'm going to study and discuss as leadership as such, and why we're going to talk about leadership in education. And I hope you will find references across your own experience here, because we have all come across leaders on our pathways in education process, both as students and now as academic teachers. And we may also ask if we really need this notion of leadership in education, if it is treating education like business. Should we do that or not? I think, and I hope I will answer some of those questions, and you will also be able to find reference or make connections to your own experience. I will start with a definition of leadership as such. This is the process of influence which is leading to the achievement of the desired purposes. So it's a process. The successful leaders develop a strong vision for their schools or universities, which are those visions may be based on personal and professional values. So it encompasses those two worlds together. They articulate the vision at every opportunity, and they influence academic staff to share the vision. So the vision is passed on from person to person. The philosophy, structures, and activities of the university are geared towards the achievement of this shared vision. So, as we understand, this is not only the vision of the leader, it has to be shared among the community, and it has to be passed on, or it has to be moved forwards in the direction of development. Leadership involves a lot of social influence. It is a process where intentional influence is exerted by one person or maybe sometimes a group of people over other people or sometimes groups of people. And they aim at structuring activities and relationships in a group or organization. There are many aspects of those definitions. The central concept is the influence rather than authority. So I think we should not mix leadership with power. I would say, because the head of the university is always the rector or vice rector. And this is the ultimate authority, as we may say. I may question this. Does the rector have to be the leader? Well, he or she should, of course. And he or she may not be the leader, because the being a leader is contains the characteristics of personality features. And sometimes rectors don't have personality features which may allow them to be called leaders. And I hope you understand. So the major authority or power is the rector, who may not necessarily be the leader, which is sometimes a sad fact, but it is true. And there are situations which I have come across in my academic life, and maybe you have come across as well, that the ultimate power at university doesn't mean that this is reflected by leaders. The leader may be a dean, for example. And I guess if we have many leaders, like many deans are leaders at university, then I think it's also one of the concepts of formal positions that we may question or argue, but I guess that being a leader is a very strongly connected with personality features. So the process of leadership has to be intentional. The person who is seeking to exercise influence is doing so in order to achieve certain purposes. So maybe you may question this. If the person is well trained, he or she may exert this power, and he or she may be the leader. Leadership and values. The notion of influence is neutral, and it does not explain or recommend the goals or actions which should be pursued. However, leadership is increasingly linked with the values. Leaders are expected to ground their actions in clear personal and professional values. And there is a tension between the obligation to implement the policies of democratically elected governments, or let's say rectors in our case, and the need for professionals to feel positive about initiatives that they are to be introduced successfully at a given institution. Managerial leadership assumes that the focus of leaders ought to be on functions, tasks, and behaviors. And if these functions are carried out competently, the work of others in the organization will be facilitated. So the leaders are seen as facilitators. And most approaches to managerial leadership assume that the behavior of an organizational members is largely rational. This is just an introduction to the notion of leadership. And I guess leadership lies very close to entrepreneurship. We may also ask if it's the same. I guess it's very close. It doesn't have to be the same, or it's absolutely, it's not the same. But being a leader means you are close to business situations and you are close to entrepreneurship situations. So what are the features of the leadership mindset, going deeper into this notion? So what are the features of character that a leader has to possess in order to be successful, in order to be able to exert power and to influence other people? The entrepreneurial or leadership mindset consists of many areas and abilities. The first one, which I have listed here for you preparing this lecture today, this presentation, the first one is the ability to confront self-doubt. We very often doubt, and we doubt in whatever we do every day, or I think several times a day or even more. So teaching ourselves how to think in a positive manner means that we are our own coach, that we can mentor ourselves. And leadership success will come from our ability to control our thoughts and confront our self-doubt, making this easier to navigate through failures and disappointments, which are inherent in our path of careers, of meetings, of activities. The second point, which makes up for the characteristic of the leadership mindset, is the accountability. So having this leadership spirit includes recognizing your own responsibility for the outcomes and actions of the business. So when big things go wrong, and undoubtedly they will, as you know, there are failures we face every day, they may not, or they should not, stop you. Even when the outcomes are outside your control, the leadership thinking requires us to avoid making excuses and instead forces us to take actions to resolve the option. So this should not be an obstacle. When something goes wrong, we should, as leaders, we should try to be accountable for the situation and make up for the loss, or make up for the unfortunate circumstances, and take some positive action. The third point, which is part of the leadership mindset, is the resilience, as mistakes are inevitable when attempting to launch new ventures. And everyone from the big names in business, from the billionaires to low-level employees, makes mistakes. And that is why resilience, so being tough and being strong enough to suffer and to take on those hardships, the resilience is one of the very important social skills to be considered a leader. So the ability to bounce back from failure. So sometimes we say it's like a jumping, like a springboard. When there is a mistake, you jump from the mistake to move on. And this is very often called the feature of a good leader or a good entrepreneur, who may overcome difficulties, learn from them, as he or she is strong enough. So the resilience is being strong enough to make up for any kind of loss which we may face. The fourth point, which I have on the list of the leadership mindset, is the willingness to experiment. Whether we are the founders of a big business or simply one of the many people in the company, like, let's say, academic teachers, we are one of many in the group. We may create or set out our own career path, our road to success, which may lead us to many decisions. And sometimes those decisions will be tough. As you know, and you have your own experience. We should be trying to be willing to experiment when it comes to new situations, new products, new business plans, arrangements, and problem-solving techniques. And the different feedback we get from our team, from the members of the team, may also help us make the right decision. So listening to the group, listening to others, and this is part of leader, being a good, successful leader. Successful leaders possess many qualities, as I have just listed the mindset, but also talking about the personality. It's determination. So the refusal to fear failure keeps leaders from going. As all those setbacks may happen, leaders will seek solutions instead of focusing on the negative. And I think it's also important in all kinds of spheres of life. Leaders have to focus. Leaders rarely allow distractions that take their minds off matters which they study. It's a quality that can be developed. I think we can develop it at college. We can develop it with our students. So partly I would say leadership may be educated. It's like a subject. We have this subject in Polish schools, in high schools. Sometimes it's called leadership, sometimes it's called entrepreneurship, which are both very close together. And our high school students, meaning teenagers from the age of 14 until 19, before they enter university education, they have this formal part of the curriculum is this kind of training, so entrepreneurship or leadership. And I guess not all of them will respond to it, but at that level of being, at the level of being teenagers, this can be trained. Those features can be worked out. Leaders need to have the right drive. The drive is the internal power and will to change and to motivate others and to make their ideas work. So they develop daily habits in order to remain on track. As for example, you keep your diet or you have your exercise routine or your fitness routine. If you stop, like after a week, you will not achieve your goals. It has to be part of the routine. It has to be the right track, and it has to happen every day. It has to be, you have to stick to this. You have to be consistent. The next feature of a leader is decisiveness. So when you are the head of the venture or the dean, head of faculty, director, everything falls on you. And sometimes we have this feeling, even if we are not in power, we feel everything falls on us because we are responsible for, let's say, language department or a faculty. And as we know that time is money, so the ability to make good, rational decisions quickly can help avoid wasteful actions and can help this faculty or field or office develop. So decisiveness, making the right decision at the right time. The next feature of a good leader is independence. Though networking plays a big part of sharing ideas and gaining perspective among staff and colleagues, leaders have to be very comfortable when they take matters into their own hands, when they make decisions themselves. The need for independence is one of the reasons why a person has to can enjoy a long career in education and may take up the university, the unit, the department into a more flourishing level. Next feature which I listed for you is authenticity. There is this genuineness of leaders. They cannot act like uneducated members of society. They have to show the level of education, authenticity. The people should believe their ideas and follow them. And their passion cannot be questioned. The next feature I have is flexibility. Being a leader, it doesn't mean you work from 9 to 5 and it's done. It means you work 24/7, so all day, all night. I mean work, you are alert. You may work 4 hours a day, I mean be at the office, but you always think and create something. You have this trait, this feature of character that you want to be in the perfect surroundings with the right people at the right time. Leaders need this thirst of knowledge. They have to be thirsty for knowledge, for development. They have this natural desire to learn, and this is the drive that helps them earn their degree, earn money, of course, as a result, and earn honors, which are part of the academic life. The leaders have ideas, they can recognize them with other people, and they share information which is needed to bring those ideas to life. So leaders have to have their eyes and ears open to others, as leaders cannot only question others, but they have to trust them. So trusting their team. Leaders have to interact. This is the practice of involving and learning from others throughout problem-solving processes. As they are very complex, uncertain situations, they often require different types of knowledge and innovative ideas which have to be validated, and they need the right feedback from staff. And I guess this is the difficult bit for the leader, to listen to what others have to say, to acknowledge this as true and to accept it, and to put somebody else's plan into action. As leaders tend to be very selfish, I would say. They concentrate on their own truths and beliefs, and sharing this field of power, I think, is quite difficult. I was discussing this during my previous meeting, my previous lecture, which was really more related to women in education. And then I was talking about this glass ceiling which we face, and there was kind of discussion at the end of our meeting. You agreed with what I said, but some of you had questions related to position of men in academic hierarchy. But I think this is very close to sharing aspects of a team and proportions of power, of the right power in the team. So interaction, this is what I was discussing. Interaction is this field of being able to be a good, successful leader and to move on from that. Challenge is another issue that leaders face every day. So there are real problems which are within the university and also outside the university. There are problems which cannot be very often simplified, as these may include, for example, financial problems of an institution. And they can be even more complex and uncertain when our students may be less motivated or less enthusiastic about some issues. There are challenges introduced by external businesses, by organizations, researchers, and many other aspects. As you know, that academic life is very complex. Sorry. So academic life may be very complex, and the challenges are ongoing, and they are like in the process, they are related to many theoretical concepts. So the challenges are for the leaders to be solved, also for the leaders to be faced, as we know that some of our heads of faculties may avail from facing their reality because it's too difficult for them. I think it's also a good notion to be discussed for our future meetings. Another part which I want to discuss is the ability of reflection. How deep are we able to reflect, as we or leaders are able to reflect on the work, and to how deeply they are able to acquire anything like knowledge through learning. So if we don't reflect on what's happening within an institution, then we will never be able to succeed, because it's not a scenario that can be pre-prepared and it just goes. When it is human business, and the academic life is very much related to human business, it's never easy, and multifaceted aspects have to be determined, have to be taken into account and discussed, as this human business is not just like a production company. This is an institution which involves many aspects of financial issues, of internal, external, cooperating companies, units, and cultural relations at a given institution, and the relations within a city, for example, with the government. So all of these make up for the whole academic environment, which has the reflection in everyday life and also in leadership. So this academic process, as you see, as you know very well, is not easy. This is an educational process, and we have to try to make this successful. So how can leaders do this? I mean, act, and in what manner and how, so that the institution called a university or college is successful, and that they can be called successful leaders. They have to be financially literate, which is very close to literacy with alphabet. So if they are not financially literate, then they will not be considered as successful leaders, as universities nowadays are intended to make money, or like business entities, or they have to just maybe if they are not making any profit, they should not bring any loss. So this is in the same way that we treat any kind of business entity. So schools lag behind this. An education of children and teenagers is lagging behind. So this is an issue which is an ongoing it should be an ongoing topic and an ongoing subject in schools in many levels. So we should also teach our own children investing, saving, dealing with money, to show them the value of money, and then they may grow up to be successful in their companies. They may grow up to be successful leaders. Leaders need a keen sense of observation and self-drive. We should recognize our own world, which is full of business opportunities, which requires very careful observation, self-drive, and creativity. But this has to be employed in everyday manner, everyday life, so that we can, from those observations, we can grow something like a plant. So if we start early, then this attitude may grow. Leaders need this strong attitude of exploration and inquisitiveness. So exploration for ideas and being inquisitive, meaning being eager to learn and being interested in learning. Leaders need to teach goal setting and planning. This is also obvious, but this is part of this structure. When leaders set clear goals and plans for the institution, it's easier for the institution to be successful. They are very positive habits which may be trained in the early stages. So the children may be taught to set the goals, to plan, to set realistic goals, and to be specific, measurable, achievable, and timely. So these features are connected with planning. Leaders need to force and introduce teamwork. As they are leaders, at a given institution, we may have just one leader, and it should be, if you have one leader at your institutions, then you are lucky. That the person you may reflect to, you may revert to and ask for help or advice. But urging teamwork shows that the leaders are not self-sufficient. So the leaders will not lead if we are not there for them. And they need help from us. They need help from the whole team. But they need to have the ability to urge, to force the team to work for him or her. The leaders should create an environment where personal initiative and high quality work is valued and is rewarded. So I was, in the last half an hour, I was discussing all those issues on what the leaders may push us to, but they also need to remember that they have to reward the audience. They have to reward the team. As the team members may be failing, the team members may be weak. So they have to have what? They need very effective communication skills. Do your leaders have effective communication skills? Yes or no? Well, you may just answer to yourselves if you don't want to write this, because if you write too much, then you may open too many secrets of your institutions, which I'm not going to, of course, reveal, but this is not the point. So having very effective communication skills is the quality of the perfect leader, as we are talking about theory now. We need leaders who support the society, support the team, and they lead by example. So they lead by example means that they are themselves not only created and educated, but they lead this life of leaders. There are different distinct types of leaders in education, starting with the guru, for example. The guru, who is the mentor, who focuses closely on his lessons of tradition and expects the students and followers to learn processes that they have worked in the past. We may have this association with some more non-formal ways of education. Another type of leader is the guide. These are mentors who focus on practical applications in real world. They tailor their lessons depending on the students' unique circumstances. So they are guides. Then we have controllers. Controllers, they are mentors who focus on controlling the outcomes of education. I think this is easy, very easy. We also have helpers, and these are the mentors who focus on the student's personal development through experiences. They aim to help the students and us as staff emerge from the program as better rounded individuals. And the final characteristic which I have is the coordinator. These are the mentors who focus on helping staff and students connect the efforts on the outside with growing their own work. So starting with the guru, guide, controller, helper, coordinator. And all of these prepare us, not only students, but also staff, to develop, to grow in the educational market. Can we work ourselves on becoming leaders? Of course, there are many professional programs in Poland now. There are many postgraduate cycles of studies. There are many online programs of leadership in education and by any kind of university in many different languages. How can we do it as in a way at home? Can we try to grow as a leader as we know how to do it? Yeah, I think yes, we can try. It can be a successful startup for many of us to gain this truth, and the skill we may concentrate on developing those skills. The first set of skills is the goal. We need our clear goals when we think about being a leader. So speaking on about the goals, we may write them down. We may mention the goals to our friends or family, and these may be the aspiring leadership steps that we may take ourselves. What we should do as well is practice being decisive. Practice that we may exert power on others. As leaders, innovators, they make these different decisions every day, and they create opportunities to others with strong confidence. So we can practice decisiveness in the real world with our personal lives. We also need to redefine failure. So failing typically has very negative connotations. But the best leaders turn this failure into something positive. That's what I mentioned, that it's like a springboard. Sometimes we even say that in Polish, but I will try to translate it into English, that when somebody gives you a kick, when somebody disregards you, then you may collect this power of the kick, and you may jump further from that power, so that you are totally, let's say, you are disrespected in a situation, or you failed in some circumstances. So collect this as power, even if it's negative, and then try to move forward with it. So that one of the famous fashion designers in Poland mentioned this in the beginning of her career, when she was not successful and she got many kicks from people on the way to success. She collected this energy to grow, and she's now very, very successful. But talking about success, you also need to remember that success is like a mountain which you climb, and it's the steps are really, really steep. And there is no way you get there in a lift. You have to climb it. So being a leader, it's all, and trying to be the leader and learning how to become a leader, it's like gaining this mountain of success. There is no lift there. You need to climb those steep steps. We also need to face all our fears. We may fear public speaking, we may fear embarrassment, we may fear criticism, but there are skills which can be learned to overcome this, to learn from theory and get more practice into that. There are many features of character that the academic leaders should have, and it's just for us to decide if our leaders at our university actually have them or not. But as I said, I'm speaking theoretically today. So they need this survivor mentality, when they feel they are in control, that they can survive in any circumstances. They use problem-solving skills. They are physically resilient, mentally and socially. They get enough sleep. Usually they exercise. They are able to regulate their emotions. So this all shows how strong you need to be a leader. They need to be adaptable, ready to accept changes in everyday life and uncertain times. They need to be good communicators, possess high emotional intelligence, very positive views of themselves, and make realistic plans. They need to reframe negative thoughts, help other people. They need to be able to listen to others, to seek support, focus on what is within control, and try to perform the plan themselves and force others by being active and flexible. So show others and motivate others. They should take voluntary actions, and they should be very clear in communication with colleagues and also with their own bosses. As don't forget, leaders also have their own bosses. Sometimes they need to take a brain break, like use some social media or chat with colleagues or re-energize, because they use a lot of energy to be so strong and powerful. Like take some time outdoors, take some time with friends, focus more on other people, and never think in catastrophic manner. So from all of these points that I have just mentioned, the list is really long, the list of the features. So you see there is a lot of pressure on leaders. I would say myself that effective communication is the key to success and the ability to listen to other people. So it's not the only theoretical feature. I guess you need those features of character to be able to be called the leader in education. Can you give any examples of famous leaders in education? I mean, like globally, can you write a name of a famous, like a professor, rector, or I don't know, anyone who was involved in academic life globally and was known or is still known to be a very successful academic leader? Any idea? Or do you have this kind of figure on your mind now that you may give as an example? Do you think you are leaders in education? Hmm?
Yes, of course.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's why you are here, because you are growing, developing, thinking about collecting more points in your academic development. So you are creating this as like the entity for others, the entity of being leaders, a leader yourselves, for which I really congratulate you. If you have the power to say yes, because let's say I may also ask, from the scale of 1 to 10, how much of a leader is there in you? From point 1, which is minimum, and 10 maximum. How much of a leader is there in you? Well, you may just answer to yourselves if you wish. You may just think. So I guess some of you just answered 3, 4. Some of you said 6. Okay, if you said 6, then it's okay. If some of you answered 10, perfect. I just congratulate you on this. This is how you feel with this, and there's nothing wrong if you just think, I'm not a leader at all. I just teach biology, or I just teach history, and I'm not a leader, because some people will never be leaders because they don't just have to, and they don't have this energy, attitude, and they don't have they just simply don't care for this, because being a leader means that you take on many roles, and this is really very, very difficult. Okay, I'm just coming to an end of my speech about leadership in education, which was based on lots of theoretical aspects. So I wish you all a lot of power and energy in becoming stronger, more effective in your educational endeavors. And I hope you will reach all the points, whether you want to be leaders or not, but you will be successful in whatever you do in your academic institutions. Thank you very much for the meeting today. It was a real pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot so much. It's a very interesting lecture. Thanks.
Thank you.